There was no election in Benue State on Saturday, 5th of October 2024. What happened on that day was a selection, and I can say this, and you can take it to the bank. No election took place. People went to the various polling units, waited hours on end, and electoral materials were not taken to the polling units, and electoral officers, presiding officers, and the rest of them didn't show up. In many of the polling units, policemen and soldiers waited in vain without the presence of those electoral officers. And people waited at the collation centers, at the ward collation centers, nobody showed up. At the local government collation centers, nobody showed up. We have it on good authority that most of the exercises took place in the houses of chieftains of APC in the various local governments, especially in Zone C. I was also told that some semblance of election took place in some isolated places, in some local governments of Zone C. In Agatu, for instance, I was told that election took place in 3 council wards, including Ogule Kaduna, where the candidate of PDP scored 557 votes against 501 votes of the APC. He was so declared at the venue of the election. But of course, like it was observed in virtually all the places, no electoral materials were taken there, and so they had only photocopies of result sheets. Even though the people say, okay, fine, if you say photocopy that you have, record the results and give to us. And they recorded the results and gave to them. Only for the headquarters of the Benue State Independent Electoral Commission to disavow those results. Similar things happened in other local government where elections held in some isolated council wards. PDP won in those wards. In Makodi, they refused to give them a certificate of return. In Oju, PDP won in the only council ward where election was conducted, and unfortunately, they didn't give the person the certificate of return. And so, that is what happened in Benue State, Benue South Senatorial District in particular. And so, at best, like I've said elsewhere, what happened in Benue State on election day was a scam. It was a sham election. It was a charade. As a matter of fact, an insult to democracy. And like I said before, and I repeat, it is unfortunate that this nonsense is taking place in a state where a reverend father is governor. Very unfortunate. It's a gradual destruction of our democracy. And I urge all Nigerians, all men of goodwill, to rise up to this challenge. All that these governors are fighting over is the local government money. They are just after the money that accrues to the local government to put their surrogates there so that they can have authority over the coffers of the various local governments. But I have been talking with some of my colleagues and some other commentators. We are prepared to face up the challenge and ensure that what the Supreme Court has started in granting the local government's autonomy is carried out to its fullest. Democracy is on trial here. And I can assure you that the National Assembly will rise up to the occasion, ensure that democracy does not die in the hands of governors.
I want to take you back to because I remember sometime this year that the National Assembly actually took a resolution that the governor in the when it was reported that the local government has been dissolved, they said it should stick there. But nothing was done about that. The government never did anything.
My friend, we have gone beyond that. We've gone beyond that. The Senate passed a resolution. The federal government took it up in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has looked at the case and given a verdict on it. And the states have started conducting elections. So why are we talking about whether they reinstate or didn't reinstate again?
So what's our fate? We have seen cases where it's very glaring how maybe election, something is so. What's our
Well, what were you expecting to hear? What are you expecting to hear? They say if you are not satisfied, go to court. Nobody needs to tell you that if you are not satisfied with anything on your hand, you go to court. Nobody needs to tell you. It's the obvious thing to do. If you are asking me whether we still have faith in our judiciary,
yes.
given what has happened in the past and the rest of them, I will just advise that we will keep having hope. We will keep having faith in the judiciary. Because we don't have any other conflict resolution mechanism outside the judiciary. And like they say, the judiciary is the last hope of the common man. Unfortunately, the judiciary officials that we are finding now are products of the Nigerian society, a product of a corrupt Nigerian society. That is what happens. But of course, I want to assure you that even amongst these groups of human beings that we are talking about here, there are very obviously men and women of integrity. And so we must build on that and ensure that the Nigerian system does not collapse on the tripod of the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. You're welcome. You're welcome.